In the silence of meditation, the universal truths become clear. The journey of the soul transcends the physical boundaries we perceive, and nowhere is this more profound than in understanding what happens to those who choose to end their earthly existence prematurely. When a soul departs through suicide, they do not find the escape they desperately sought. Instead, they enter a realm where consciousness continues, where the pain they hope to leave behind follows them into the ethereal plane. This is not punishment. It is simply the immutable law of spiritual existence. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. The remarkable seer Edgar saw beyond the veil that separates our physical reality from the spiritual dimensions. Through his deep trance states, he accessed universal knowledge that revealed profound insights about suicide's aftermath. His revelations challenge both religious dogma of eternal damnation and materialistic notions of nothingness after death. What Edgar discovered was both sobering and ultimately hopeful. Souls who take their own lives do not escape their earthly challenges, but instead enter a state of intensified awareness of the pain they've caused, both to themselves and to those who loved them. They experience a heightened consciousness of the ripple effects their decision created. This is not divine punishment, but rather the natural consequence of violating the sacred gift of life. The universe operates through perfect spiritual laws that govern our existence across all planes. When we interrupt our soul's journey before its natural conclusion, we create a karmic imbalance that must eventually be reconciled. In the ethereal realms, these souls often find themselves in what might be described as a grey, fog-like state, neither fully transitioned to higher spiritual dimensions nor connected to physical reality. They exist in a kind of limbo, processing the profound consequences of their choices. Many report sensing the grief of their loved ones, witnessing funeral proceedings, and feeling an overwhelming regret that they cannot communicate or comfort those left behind. Yet this state is not eternal condemnation. The universe, in its infinite wisdom and compassion, provides pathways for healing and growth, even for those who have made this most difficult choice. Divine love encompasses all souls, regardless of their actions, offering guidance and opportunities for spiritual reconciliation. Many of these souls report encountering loving presences, spiritual guides, departed family members, or beings of light, who approach them not with judgment, but with profound compassion. These spiritual helpers understand the immense pain that led to such a drastic decision and offer their loving support to help the soul process their experience and move forward. The journey of healing for these souls is deeply personal. Some may need to witness the full impact of their departure on loved ones, experiencing the pain they've caused as a necessary step toward understanding and growth. Others may need to revisit the challenges they faced in life, gaining new perspectives that help them understand the purpose behind their struggles. What's most important to understand is that no soul is ever abandoned or condemned to eternal suffering. The universal consciousness that some call God does not punish. It teaches, guides, and ultimately heals. Every soul, regardless of their choices, remains a beloved part of the divine whole, worthy of compassion and capable of redemption. In the ethereal realms where souls transition after physical death, there exists not a court of judgment, but a sanctuary of understanding. This revelation stands among the most profound insights offered through the spiritual work of those who have glimpsed beyond our material existence. When souls who have chosen suicide cross the threshold between worlds, they encounter not the harsh judgment many religious traditions have taught, but rather a profound space of compassion and divine understanding. This doesn't mean there are no consequences to face. The universal law operates with perfect precision, but it functions through love rather than punishment. These souls encounter what might be called a life review, an immersive experience where they not only relive their own experiences, but also feel the impact their actions had on others. This process occurs not to inflict suffering, but to foster deeper understanding and growth. Imagine a soul who departed through suicide now witnessing the grief of their parents, feeling the confusion of their children, experiencing the guilt their spouse carries, wondering if they could have done more. This awareness comes not as punishment, but as essential knowledge for spiritual evolution. It is both painful and ultimately healing, like removing a splinter to allow proper healing to begin. What's particularly remarkable about this transition is the presence of loving spiritual entities who guide this process. These beings, which might be described as angels, guides, or evolved souls, approach with such profound compassion that many souls report feeling truly understood, perhaps for the first time. These guides recognize the immense suffering that led to suicide and hold space for the soul's pain without judgment. There is no soul that reaches out to the divine that is not met with more than what they sought, was a principle revealed through spiritual insights. This means that even in their darkest moment, when these souls felt completely alone in their suffering, they were never truly abandoned. The universe's response to their pain is not rejection, but an outpouring of compassion that often overwhelms these souls with its intensity. This compassionate response doesn't erase consequences, but transforms how they're experienced. Rather than punishment, these souls undergo a profound healing process. They come to understand that their challenges on Earth, no matter how overwhelming they seemed, were opportunities for growth that will still need to be addressed, whether in spiritual realms or in subsequent lifetimes. Many souls report experiencing a kind of cosmic perspective shift. From their new vantage point, they can see how their life challenges fit into a larger pattern of soul development spanning many lifetimes. What seemed like unbearable suffering often reveals itself as a crucial catalyst for spiritual evolution that, tragically, was interrupted before its purpose could be fulfilled. This perspective doesn't minimize the real suffering they experienced. Rather, it places it in a context that makes sense of the pain. The divine realms honor their suffering while gently helping them understand its purpose within their soul's journey. There is profound respect for the enormous courage it takes to incarnate on Earth and face its challenges, even when that courage faltered at the end. What these souls also discover is that divine love makes no distinctions between those who lived long lives and those who departed early by their own hand. The essence of their being, the eternal spark of consciousness that transcends any single lifetime, remains intact and infinitely precious to the universe. This unconditional acceptance often creates a healing crisis for souls who couldn't accept themselves or their circumstances in life. The process of spiritual rehabilitation for these souls is deeply personalized. Some require a period of rest and recovery in special healing environments, often described as beautiful gardens or peaceful sanctuaries, where they can gradually process their experiences. Others may need more intensive support from guides who specialize in helping souls who have experienced severe trauma or made difficult transitions. Throughout this process, there remains one constant: the unwavering presence of divine love. This is not the conditional love so often experienced on Earth, but rather a complete acceptance of the soul in its totality, both its light and shadow aspects. This love penetrates the deepest wounds of self-rejection, gradually dissolving the barriers the soul had erected against itself. As this healing progresses, these souls begin to recognize that their worth was never dependent on their achievements, appearance, social status, or any other external measure. They discover that they were always worthy of love simply because they exist as an expression of the divine consciousness. This realization often marks a critical turning point in their spiritual healing journey. When a soul departs through suicide, it enters what might be described as a twilight state of consciousness, neither fully immersed in the higher spiritual dimensions, nor connected to physical reality. This intermediate state has been revealed through deep spiritual insights as a crucial phase in the soul's journey after such a transition. It is within this ethereal dimension that the most profound healing and realization begins. Many souls report experiencing a state of confusion initially. Having sought escape from pain, they instead find themselves fully conscious, carrying the same emotional burdens, but without the physical body they believed was the source of their suffering. This realization, that consciousness continues uninterrupted, often creates the first spiritual crisis after transition. The soul must confront the truth that their essence transcends physical form, and that the challenges they faced were not merely physical or circumstantial, but deeply connected to their spiritual journey. In this twilight realm, souls often describe experiencing time differently. What might feel like moments can span what we would consider weeks or months in physical reality. Conversely, Deep processes of reflection might occur in what seems like an instant. This fluidity of temporal experience allows for the precise unfolding of the soul's healing journey at whatever pace is most beneficial for their unique needs. One of the most poignant aspects of this state is the soul's continued emotional and energetic connection to loved ones left behind. Many souls report witnessing their own funeral proceedings, seeing the grief of family members, and feeling an overwhelming desire to communicate that they still exist and are sorry for the pain their departure has caused. This connection becomes both a source of suffering and an opportunity for growth as the soul begins to truly comprehend the far-reaching impact of their decision. The greatest illusion of physical existence is the belief in separation, was a profound insight revealed through spiritual channels. In the twilight realm, souls begin to perceive the intricate web of connections that bind all beings. They witness how their energy continues to influence the physical plane even after departure. This revelation often creates a deep sense of responsibility, as they recognize that while they may have escaped their physical form, they remain accountable for the energetic consequences of their choices. Many souls describe experiencing what might be called emotional echoes, recurring patterns of the same emotional states that led to their suicide. Without the release that they believed death would bring, they must now face these emotional patterns directly, without distraction or escape. This confrontation with their inner landscape becomes a crucial catalyst for spiritual growth, as they learn that healing comes not from escaping difficult emotions, but from moving through them with awareness and compassion. What many find most surprising about this state is that they retain complete individuality and self-awareness. The essence of who they are remains intact. Their memories, personality, and sense of identity continue. This continuity of consciousness often challenges preconceptions they held about death being an end to suffering or a dissolution into nothingness. Instead, they discover that consciousness persists, bringing with it both the burdens and the opportunities of their accumulated experiences. In this twilight realm, souls also begin to access a broader awareness of their soul's journey across multiple lifetimes. They start to recognize patterns and themes that have recurred throughout their various incarnations. Many report seeing how the challenges they faced in their most recent life, the ones that led to their suicide, were actually opportunities to resolve karmic patterns that had persisted across numerous lifetimes. This expanded perspective begins to transform their understanding of suffering's purpose within the soul's evolutionary journey. The confusion and disorientation many souls experience in this state is not punishment, but rather a natural consequence of interrupting their life plan. Like abruptly stopping a complex piece of machinery, the sudden cessation of a life before its intended conclusion creates energetic disturbances that must be realigned. This process of realignment is often guided by spiritual beings who specialize in helping souls navigate this particularly challenging transition. What's remarkable is how this twilight state serves as a buffer zone, a compassionate space where souls can gradually adjust to spiritual reality without being overwhelmed. If they were to immediately access the full intensity of spiritual awareness, the contrast with their recent state of despair might be too extreme to integrate. Instead, this intermediate realm allows for a gradual awakening to expanded consciousness. Throughout this phase, souls report the growing presence of spiritual guides and loved ones who have previously crossed over. These beings often maintain a respectful distance initially, allowing the soul space to process their experience, but remain constantly available when the soul reaches out for support. Their unconditional love serves as a beacon, gradually drawing the soul toward greater healing and eventual readiness to move forward in their spiritual journey. As awareness expands in this twilight realm, souls begin to recognize that what they perceived as failure or hopelessness during physical life appears very differently from spiritual perspective. They see how even their darkest moments contained opportunities for growth, and how what seemed like weakness often required tremendous strength. This shifting perspective gradually transforms shame and regret into compassion for the incredible challenges their human self faced. In the journey of souls who have crossed through the veil of suicide, perhaps the most profound revelation is that they are never truly alone. Even in what seems like the darkest night of spiritual confusion, they are accompanied by presences of light and love. These spiritual companions, some who have known the soul across many lifetimes. Others, who specialize in guiding transitions from profound trauma, maintain a constant vigil of compassionate presence. These spiritual guides operate beyond the limitations of judgment that so often characterize human relationships. They perceive the complete tapestry of the soul's journey across time and dimension, understanding that a single decision, however consequential, represents merely one thread in an infinitely complex pattern. Their perspective allows them to hold space for the soul's healing with perfect patience and unwavering compassion. Many who have glimpsed these realms through near-death experiences or deep spiritual practices report encountering beings who might be described as specialists in healing spiritual trauma. These advanced souls have often experienced similar challenges in their own evolutionary journey and now serve others from a place of profound understanding. They recognize that souls who have chosen suicide require a particular approach, one that balances accountability with compassion, truth with tenderness. The journey from darkness to light is never walked alone, was a principle revealed through deep spiritual insight. This companionship manifests in various ways depending on what the soul most needs for healing. Some souls describe being enveloped in unconditional love that penetrates the barriers of self-judgment they have constructed. Others report more active guidance, being shown specific moments from their life from new perspectives, or being helped to connect with those they left behind through dreams or synchronicities. What's particularly remarkable about these guides is their respect for the soul's autonomy. While they offer constant support, they never override the soul's free will or force realizations before the soul is ready to receive them. This respect honors the divine spark within each being, the inherent wisdom that ultimately knows what it needs for healing and growth, even when temporarily obscured by pain or confusion. The healing journey for souls after suicide often involves a gradual expansion of perspective, moving from the intense tunnel vision of suffering that led to their decision toward a more panoramic view of existence. Spiritual guides facilitate this expansion, not by imposing their wisdom, but by asking questions that gently lead the soul toward its own discoveries. This approach honors the soul's intrinsic divinity and capacity for self-healing. Many souls report that their guides help them establish connections with loved ones who remain in physical form. These connections may manifest as dream visitations, moments of sensing a presence, or synchronistic events that communicate messages of love and forgiveness. These bridges between dimensions serve the healing of both the departed soul and those who continue in physical existence, creating pathways for mutual understanding and release. As healing progresses, many souls begin working with their guides to prepare for what comes next in their spiritual journey. For some, this means processing the lessons of their most recent lifetime before planning a new incarnation where they can address unresolved challenges. For others, it might involve periods of service in the spiritual realms, helping other souls who are struggling with similar challenges to those they faced. The process of spiritual healing after suicide culminates not in forgetting or dismissing the experience, but in integrating it into the soul's broader understanding of its eternal journey. The pain and the choice become neither denied nor defining, but rather transformed into wisdom and compassion. Many souls report that what once seemed like their greatest failure becomes, through this alchemical process of spiritual healing, one of their most profound catalysts for evolution. Throughout this healing journey, the universal truth that echoes across spiritual traditions becomes increasingly clear. The divine consciousness that permeates all existence never abandons any aspect of itself. Just as no wave is ever separate from the ocean, no soul, regardless of its choices, is ever truly separate from the source from which it emerged. This fundamental unity forms the foundation upon which all spiritual healing ultimately rests. For those of us still journeying in physical form, these insights offer both comfort and responsibility. They remind us that our loved ones who departed through suicide continue their journey, accompanied by wise and loving presences. They also call us to be more present for those struggling with despair, recognizing that we may serve as physical embodiments of the same divine compassion that meets souls on the other side. The veil between physical and spiritual dimensions grows increasingly transparent as humanity evolves in consciousness. More and more individuals are reporting direct experiences of these spiritual realities, confirming across cultural and religious boundaries the essential continuity of consciousness and the universality of compassionate guidance available to all souls, especially in their moments of greatest need. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of this spiritual understanding is the recognition that healing continues eternally. There is no deadline for growth, no expiration date on opportunity, no soul so lost that it cannot find its way back to light. The universe operates not on a timeline of limited chances, but within an eternal present, where every moment offers fresh possibility for healing and evolution. As we conclude this exploration of what awaits souls after suicide, let us hold this truth in our hearts. Beyond the physical realm exists a dimension of perfect compassion where every soul is known completely, loved unconditionally, and guided eternally toward its highest expression. In that sacred recognition, we find not only comfort for those who have crossed over, but also profound inspiration for how we might live our own lives with greater awareness of our eternal nature and the divine companionship that never leaves us, even in our darkest hours. If this exploration of the soul's journey touched something deep within you, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these profound spiritual insights. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or experiences. Your perspective may be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Remember, in sharing our spiritual understanding, we create a community of light that extends far beyond this digital space. Subscribe, comment, and join us on this eternal journey of discovery.